There are two ways to show possession. So for example, if I want to talk about the sword that belongs to the king, I can either say the king's sword, or I can say the sword of the king. And either way is fine in English. However, in Arabic, I would ask you to stick to this second one, yeah? Avoid using the version with the apostrophe and the S, yeah? And the reason I ask you to stick to this, the X of the Y construct, is because in Arabic, we structure the possessive phrase in the same way, yeah? Let me show you what I mean. So let's get our vocabulary. Sword is as-sayfu, and the king is al-maliku. So if I want to say the sword of the king, is it enough that I just write as-sayfu al-maliku next to each other? No, I just have the sword, the king. I haven't created an of, I haven't linked these two words together. How do I show that they are linked together rather than stand-alone words? What we do is this last word now falls into the I case. And this is a very easy thing to remember because in Arabic there are only two reasons why you will ever see a noun in the I case. The first one is if it's preceded by a preposition. And the second one, which is this instance where the kasra is preceded by the thing it's possessing. So whenever you see a kasra, your first instinct should be, let me look at the word behind it, because it will be linked to that word in some way. So how do we show that this word is linked to this word? You should have realized by now that a noun will always appear with either an alif and a lam in front, if it's definite, or it will end in two vowels at the end if it's indefinite. And if it doesn't have one or the other, then it's incomplete, which is your cue to look around and see what completes it. So what we're going to do to signify that this word is incomplete is we're going to get rid of the alif and the lam. So its incompleteness tells us that it's tied to the word in front of it, and the kasra on this word tells us that this word is tied to the word behind it. And now we've created an of between these two words, yeah? They're tied together. How do I go about translating this phrase? How do I know this is the sword of the king? Because there's no alif and the lam at the beginning. Where am I getting the from? Since this word is tied to this word, if this word is definite, then this word will be definite. And if this word is indefinite, then this word will be indefinite, yeah? So this means the sword, because it takes its definiteness from the next word, yeah? The sword of the king. In order to say a sword of a king, we have to make this word indefinite. So what we do is we have our incomplete safe, and the king is now indefinite. So rather than having one kasra, we'll have two kasras. You can either say the x of the y, or you can say an x of a y. So notice how this construct doesn't allow you to mix and match. Let's complicate things a little bit more. Instead of saying the sword of the king, I can add other words into this Idafa construct. I can say the sword of the son of the king. Yeah, I've created a little chain. So we said the sword is as-sayfu, the son is al-ibnu, and the king is al-maliku. If I want to say the sword of the son of the king, how do I do that? So first of all, in order to show that this last word is linked to the word behind it, we put it in the I case. And then to show that this word is linked to the word behind it, we also put this word in the I case. And then this word isn't linked to anything behind it, so it stays in its default position. And then to show that this word is linked forward to this word, we get rid of the alif and the lam. And to show that this word is linked to this word, we also get rid of the alif and the lam. So now we've got a little change. We've got the sword of the son of the king. Yeah? So right now we said that this initial word is a dhamma because it's the default position. However, this first word doesn't necessarily have to be fixed on the dhamma in the way that these words have to be fixed on the kasra. Yeah, so for example, if there was a verb behind it, so ra'aytu, which means I saw, then suddenly the sword is now the object of this verb, right? And objects are in the A case. Another instance is if this is a preposition, so like ila, prepositions cause the word after it to be in the I case. Yeah? But note how they're in the I case for different reasons, yeah? So this word has a kasra to show its link to this word. This word has a kasra to show its link to this word. And then this word has a kasra because there's a preposition behind it, yeah? Okay, let's go back to our initial example. So we have the sword of the king, yeah? You have the x of the y, or an x of a y. So nothing can come between these two words, not even adjectives. So if you want to add an adjective for this word, normally you add them after the word, yeah? However, in an idafa, if you add it after the word, then you're breaking apart the construct. So rather than adding it after the word, we add it after the construct. So for example, if I want to talk about the tall sword, is it definite or indefinite? Even though safe doesn't have an alif and a lam, because it's linked to this word, and this word has an alif and a lam, it means the sword is definite, which means its adjective is also definite. Secondly, what case is tawil in? If it's an adjective for this word, then it will be in the U case. So tawil will have a dhamma. If it's an adjective for this word, it will be in the I case. So tawil will have a kasra. And if you have a string of adjectives, the vowel endings of the adjectives will tell you whether they belong to the sword, because they'll be in the U case, or whether they belong to the king, because they'll be in the I case. Yeah? We've established that the case of the adjective will tell you which word it's describing. Yeah? However, there are some cases where the adjective will be ambiguous. Let me show you what I mean. So if this first word is also a kasra for whatever reason, it's no longer clear whether tawil, which is in the I case, belongs to the king or the sword. Yeah? So it's fine to leave it like this, where it's ambiguous whether it's the sword that's tall or the king that's tall. However, if you're absolutely adamant that you need to clarify, then what you have to do is break apart this of construct. Yeah? You can either say fis saifi, and since we've broken apart this construct, we need to add on the alif and the lam back onto this word. And then we can bring the adjective over, and then instead of saying the king, we turn it into a lam and we say lil maliki. Yeah? So directly it would translate as in the tall sword for the king. Yeah? Or if you want to clarify it's the king that's tall, then you do a similar thing, but with the adjective on the other side. And this one translates as in the sword for the tall king. Yeah? And you can see how the ambiguous nature of this sentence is clarified with these two constructions.